Hi, I am going to talk to you today about shame and abandonment. And so many parts of me was like, don't record it today. You're not getting dressed up today. You're not doing your makeup. You just haven't done enough research on this yet. You haven't read enough books. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like that's my shame. Telling me not to just come out here, because why can't I just talk about this a couple different times if I learn something new, which I will, because we're always learning new things. So, shame. Let me talk to you about why this came up and how it's so important. So, you're going to want to listen to this video if you struggle with the idea that something is wrong with you or that you're missing something. So this can happen in multiple different ways. You can believe it in the sense that you hear it, you think it, like a narrative in your head, like you're constantly throughout your day like hearing these like narratives of your own thought processes, aka your ego, aka your conditioned thinking, your limiting beliefs, your traumas, maybe ancestral traumas or traumas in this lifetime. Or even, past life energies, or all of it combined, most likely. But so you literally hear it, like you're not good enough for that. You're not good enough to be friends with them. You're not, talented enough to do this. Like you could literally hear it. Other times it can just be a feeling that doesn't necessarily have like English language or whatever language you speak. I say English because I speak English, so you're listening to this, but whatever language you speak, connected to it, it's more so this feeling. So I experience both, but I never really realized what it was. And this video is like really taking something so obvious, for lack of a better term, and bringing it into awareness. And I always say awareness is the most important step in healing, because if you don't have awareness of the belief, the thought process, the fear, the conditioning, whatever, if you don't know that it's there and you can't acknowledge it as something that needs attention, then you can't fix it. You can't heal it, and you walk around your life like a victim and like the world is happening to you. So anyway, that being said, let me just disclaim real quick by saying I never show up here with notes. I never have bullet points. I never plan what I'm going to say. I'm a channeler, and that's just how I function. Things just fly out. So there's a lot of pros of that. A lot of times you're going to be getting messages straight from the divine, from source, through me, and I'm just the vessel. And some of it can be very helpful, and you're probably hearing it for a reason. You're brought here for a reason. There's no such thing as a coincidence. But other times, as a result of having no structure and full-blown channeling, I'll channel something and then try to come back to where I was, aka mimicking, bouncing all over the place. So follow me if you can. Watch it a few times if you need to. And as always, before I get started, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you get notifications when I upload videos. I'm going to be doing that a lot more. As I'm really working to grow my YouTube presence, and I'm just a itty bitty baby getting started, because I always found reasons not to record, like I listed in the beginning. But it's Leo season, and the energy is that of starting, showing up as yourself courageously, and stop making the excuses and the limiting beliefs and the identity crises that tell you that you are not who you're called to be. So anyway, that being said, shame, right? This all ties in. And it's so perfect with this Leo season, but this is a timeless message. So regardless of when you're listening to this, it's not going to change according to the zodiac season, okay? So, a little bit about me. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about me. This is going to be me putting myself in a vulnerable position. However, I tend to be an open book, so it's really not that hard for me to do, but it is giving you some details of my childhood and my experience in my life. So, a lot of what we experience in the beginning of our lives molds us. It molds us for what we believe we are worth. And the issue with that is, no matter where you come from, that is your experience. That is what you know. So when you are a child, you're not really comparing. You just think that these things are normal. And then you come out into the world where you can see what's happening with your neighbors or your friends or your classmates. And then you go, huh? So the comparison can happen. And that can like add on top of and exacerbate any beliefs that were core beliefs instilled in you from literal childhood, toddler, young kid life, okay? So for me, my parents were never married. I don't remember what it's like having parents live together. I remember being at a friend's house when I was like 5 and seeing a family portrait of the mom, the dad, and then her and her sister. And I remember literally being like, that's weird. Like, I thought she was weird. I was like, your parents both live here? She was like, yeah. I was like, that's weird. Like, I never went through the process of the split, okay? So, I can't speak on that. Of course, the trash truck is here. But, give me a second. I'm going to pause it just to let them ride by. Alright, so, like, we're just going to hear stuff. The trash truck is gone, but I live in the city. I live in Philadelphia, so we're going to hear stuff. But anyway, just know that I got that out of the way, too. So, never had to deal with the split. But what I will say is the process of being bounced around, like from my mom to my dad to my mom to my dad, because it was split custody, didn't end well. So my mom, to put it lightly, like, she has struggles. I believe that she has gifts for sure, because I believe that we come from, like, a lineage of very gifted, like, psychically women, but, like, her sisters and herself, like, they just, lower vibrations is where they stay stuck, and then they indulge in things like substances that do not help. So, things get ugly quick, and a lot of paranoia, a lot of schizophrenic-like things, and my mom kidnapped me when I was 4. She just didn't give me back to my dad. She moved to different places so that he wouldn't know where she lived. And if she got any type of inkling that he found out, I would be ripped from wherever I was, whatever I was doing, whatever I was playing with. I remember one time doing arts and crafts and someone coming in and grabbing me and pulling me and putting me through the back door into a strange car with people that I didn't know to take me to a place with people that I didn't know just to make sure that he didn't get me. And she would make me believe that he was abusing me, that he was hurting me in the worst ways that you could imagine happening to a child. And being 4 years old, I didn't really understand what any of that meant. I just knew that she was telling me that it happened and that I don't remember and that that's what I have to say in court. And now having an almost 6-year-old of my own, I can't literally fathom that process, but that's, for her to deal with. And I'm happy that I learned quickly that, that was not true. So anyway, that being said, part of her process of manipulating me and brainwashing me about my dad would be to tell me that he was coming to things like my birthday party or Christmas or something, and then would tell me, sorry, he's not coming, he doesn't love you enough. He doesn't want to come see you. He forgot about you. Whereas, he never actually knew. She never actually invited him or told him about it. And it was just all part of the plan to make me hate my dad, so that I would say the things and believe the things. So, that being said, that puts in my mind at a very young age that I am not lovable. That, my dad hurts me because I am not good, and, he doesn't come to the places, to the parties, to the birthdays, to the events because I'm not important and I'm not lovable enough. And then you combine that with all of the traumas and instabilities of being, kidnapped, brainwashed, ripped from place to place. And it wasn't too fun. Now, luckily, my dad had a really good lawyer, and there were a lot of psychiatrists involved, and it was pretty easily extracted from me in these sessions through my behavior and whatever that this was not true, and that it was, completely falsified, and I was just brainwashed on what to say. So as a result, When I was 5, the court ordered that my mom give me up and return back to split custody. Now, my dad was elated. He was so happy, but you can imagine, too, that, you know, that was a little scary for me because I had just been brainwashed to think that he was evil for a long time. So he was very great about it, bringing me back home, and, you know, my siblings, like, had welcome home Korean signs all over and stuff like that. But it was still hard to do, and my mom was the only thing that I knew, even though at the time I didn't realize how unstable it was. And she was supposed to come pick me up the following weekend, and she didn't come. And then she just continued to not come, and she just never came. That was it. That was the end of me really living with my mom for a long period of time. There were periods like throughout my adolescence where I would spend a weekend or something at whatever place she was at that time. You know, she doesn't really have her own places for very long, if at all. So that was it. But what I will say is, like, it was pretty rough to be abandoned again. Like, it was really hard. She just never came back for me. And, like, in my mind, like, she is my safe space. She is the good guy. Like, this place with my dad is at the time not comfortable. It's scary. I don't really know my siblings like that. You know what I mean? Because I was so young when I was taken away, and it was really traumatizing. And I remember having like severe meltdowns, like over little things, like if the bow ripped off of my pajama tank top, it ripped off, and I remember spiraling in like panic and hysteria. And I was 5 years old, and I remember this vividly, like as if that was one of the last pieces of being with my mom that I had, and now this thing was damaged. Or I would watch the same, I'm showing my age, Rugrats tapes, the orange Nickelodeon tapes, over and over and over and over and over and over, because I felt like I was with her. And you know, as I went through my life, you know, she showed up about a year later, and, you know, that would set the pace for my whole life. I would always be permanently with my father, who never harmed me or abused me in any way. And, you know, has an extreme faith, and I believe I get my direct connection to the divine from him. Maybe the gifts and stuff from my mom's side, but the direct divine connection and a love for the Blessed Mother from my dad. And he always says it's the Blessed Mother that got me back to him. He would pray to her every single day. So, yeah, that's important information to portray, because it's hard to share that story sometimes, because I'm afraid that people will be like, oh, her dad did what? But, like, my dad did nothing. And if you know my dad, you know that. So, that being said, that's an important piece of information for you guys to have. Now, that's my experience. Your experience might look different. Your experience, your mind might tell you that your experience is not as bad, so you're not qualified to have the same feelings as me. That's not true. Your experience might also be very traumatizing in a different scenario. No matter what, it doesn't matter. There's no level. You don't get to tell yourself, and shame will do this, that you are not qualified or able to really like have this like revelation apply to you because you lack enough trauma or you lack enough whatever, right? That's the whole point. If you relate to what I'm saying, or what I'm about to say is the aftermath of this, like, that's it. You don't need permission. So anyway, I would spend my whole life feeling like I did not fit in. I remember from a very young age, I remember going to the babysitters with my siblings and literally looking at my body, my legs, and being like, there's just something wrong. Like, there's something wrong with me. I always felt very excluded. Now, you know, looking at my body and my legs could be like a starseed thing, but regardless, we're on the topic of earthly things like shame, and child trauma, and I just never felt like I belonged. Wherever I was, I always felt like I had to prove that I fit in. Like, I never went into a classroom or a camp or a sport or anything and just felt that I was like on the same level as everyone around me, and I could just literally walk in and be a part of. I entered every room, I entered every situation with the automatic knowing that I was less than them and that I somehow had to prove that they should accept me as a friend, or that they should accept me as cool, or that they should accept me as good enough. And I could get accepted the first time, but then here's where it got tricky. I felt the need to do it every day. It was like every day I would wake up and be like, I got to do this again. I'm scared to go to school, starting new jobs. I just never felt like I was just in and that it was okay. It just was always this daunting feeling of I need to prove my worth, right? And this would go on throughout my life. Like, I would struggle with alcohol problems. I would struggle with substances. I would struggle with all types of like really, not good behaviors and habits, just to feel like I was worth something, just to feel like somebody cared about me or I mattered to them. And, I never really was able to identify what that was until the last week or so. And it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I heard the word shame in my life so many times. We've all heard the word shame, but I feel like I never really understood what it meant. Like this inherent, just like, I lack something. Something is wrong with me. I am broken. So even though I had that feeling my whole life, and I still have it from time to time. Now, granted, I've done a lot of work. I'm almost 30 years old. I'm a mother of two. I've been on a spiritual journey for many, many years, but very intensely since 2020, like most of you probably. And, I've grown a lot in the last few years, like rapid change, and I'm sure you have too. It's not just me, it's the energy of the collective ascension, the collective awakening. We're usually going through a lot of the same stuff in our own way at the same time, which is why this might resonate with you, which is another reason why Source was like, can you please stop waiting until you read enough books and mastered shame to make a video, because you can make a few. And I'm like, oh, yeah, true, because maybe other people need to hear this, right? So anyway, I've done a lot of work, and like I didn't think, I was like, yeah, mother wound, like I worked a lot on that, like as my own mother, transmuting that generational curse that my mom and her sisters and the ones before them, and like I felt like I did, like, whew, childhood was a doozy, that motherhood thing was rough, but we're out here now, right? And then it was like, no, sis, like you got a lot to realize, to uncover. And this is the part that seems obvious. So then I noticed that, if you can relate to the things that I've been saying so far, you might relate to what I'm about to say as well. That regardless of how much you know or how much you have removed away from that older version of yourself that maybe was in the depths more, I'm hoping that you're out of the depths, wherever your deepest depths were. I hope you're closer away from that now. But regardless, like if you've done the work, but you still have like this, like I don't walk into a room anymore and go, okay, how do I make them like me? Like I don't do that anymore, right? Like I did when I was younger. But there is this like subconscious thing where I assume it goes from needing them to like me. It went from needing them to like me and doing everything that went along with that to get people to like me, to just knowing that they don't. So then I would be like, well, they don't like me and here's why and whatever. And it's like this, like, I'm not as phased thing, because like I've come to a better understanding of myself. Or this belief that like, oh, people think they like me, but when they get to know me, they won't. Like, it's just like still in its own metamorphosized, grown way, that I still have this belief that I lack something. Something is wrong with me, and I will not be, or soon enough will not be accepted. And it turned into like, well, I know my intentions, and I know that I am a good person, and I know that I'm just trying to do the right thing, and I know that I am a good friend, and I know that I don't deserve a lot of the stuff that comes my way, and I know, and I know, and I know. And, very much, I don't want to, like, but victim me, like, as if, like, I am just constantly, inherently treated certain ways for no reason, because I try to be a good person and I know that I'm a good person and no one is perfect, but like people that I am close with, that I have relationships with, I don't go out of my way to hurt people. I don't go out of my way to cause harm, you know? And then it's like this vicious cycle, right? Where if something happens, say I hear somebody's talking about me, or someone's cold to me, or someone could literally be having their own situation, their own very real hard time that is affecting their energy, and then I come in contact with them and their energy is therefore affected and I feel it, I'm like, it's me. Like, what is their problem with me, you know? So very, very sensitive to the idea that I still will be unaccepted. And if anything proves that to me and validates that for me, it's a huge trigger. Like I said, it could be someone having a bad day and I take it so personally, like it's all about me. Except I don't always retract, like try to like, oh, please like me, please like me. Then I get like angry and and I'm like, and I want to isolate. And I don't want to talk to those people. And my ego will tell stories to me like, just literally fall off. Just save yourself the trouble. Don't talk to them anymore. Just be very low conversation. Keep it small. Go ghost. Protect yourself. And, you know, up until the last couple years, situations like this, if they would happen, I would go into deep states of depression. Like there were times in my adulthood where it was in the last 6+ years, because I was a mother, that I literally was suicidal. I was thinking about like, I should just fucking end this shit because I don't want to deal with this forever and this hurts too much. Because and my friend always says, and this is important, if you're hysterical, it's historical. And this situation with these friends that happened hurt me so bad and validated that deep cut, that shame of there's something wrong with me. I am broken. I am not lovable. I am not worthy. People are better off without me. All of that, it validated it so much that I didn't want to be alive anymore. And when this would happen throughout the course of my life, and especially if you're on a spiritual journey and you're awakening and you're ascending, there are people in your life that are going to fall away. There are friendships and relationships that are just not going to work anymore because you're not going to be vibrating at the same energy, and if they don't want to ascend with you, it's going to be hard, or you're going to feel like you have to come down to hang out, and then you're going to leave feeling energetically depleted and drained, or they are going to be triggered by what you're mirroring by being so aware, and your awareness is going to mirror to them and show them things that they don't want to see about themselves because they're not ready or willing, and then it's going to create clash there. There's going to be all types of different scenarios that happen where people do come out of your life and leave, and they're supposed to as you are on this journey. But if you're walking around with this shame, this inherent belief that you suck for whatever reason, whatever was instilled in you as a child, it's going to be a lot harder for you to just accept that. And I feel like no one, unless there's like a piece missing, can just accept that with no emotion whatsoever. Either there's like a social emotional piece that's not fully in place, or they are so ascended that they are just so aware and such the observer that they know that none of this is real anyway. Either one. But you can expect that 99% of you are going to feel something when these relationships end, or these friendships end, or that person acts weird or whatever. But if you don't have this deep cut, it won't hurt so bad. But if you do, which I think you might if you're still listening, it can really fuck you up. And I had a situation recently and it was very minor. It was very minor, where I had technical difficulties with my collective Reiki session, where sometimes the link doesn't work for people, even though it works for everyone else. And I haven't been able to figure it out. And I literally was spending hours researching and over-explaining myself. Like, I don't know what else I can do. I've tried to do X, Y, Z, Z, Z. There's literally no other option. I'm doing my best. And I realized that, like, I was, like, over-pouring out into other people. Like, I promise I'm worth this offering. I promise I'm worth being a business owner. I promise I'm worth doing this. Like, trying to prove, like, here's a list of all the things I've tried to do, and not in a very, like, boundary set it firm business way. Like, I've tried ABCD, like, whatever. Like, I'm doing my best. And I was so depleted, and then therefore my energy was so susceptible to being thrown off, and it just like was not good. And it's because it hit my core wound, this shame, this inherent belief that I am broken, that I am missing a piece that everyone else has, and I just can't figure out how to get it. That's because it's not outside of me. And I've tried to fill it with drugs. I've tried to fill it with alcohol. I've tried to fill it with men. I've tried to fill it with all kinds of things, and it never worked. I always found myself deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. So now, this thing that has been literally like over my head my whole life, ruling every single thing that I do, I realized over this situation with my Reiki offering, like, wow, I put so much weight into other people telling me that I'm good enough. I put so much weight into the validation, and even at this point in my life, where everything I do is coming from direct connection to source, when it comes to my offerings, the intention is always of the highest good, to provide you with the energy healing that you need with the intentions that we have set, or if we're doing a human design reading, or a one-on-one Reiki session, or Akashic Records, or a mentorship, or just a tarot reading, or you're watching these videos, whatever the case may be, my intention is always up here. And remember, I was saying, like, with the friendships, I'd be like, I was always trying to be a good friend, and I would lend them the money if they needed it, and give them the clothes if they needed it, and give them the food if they needed it. I always was taking my shirt off of my back, and it's not always because I genuinely wanted to do that, even though I did, but the intent, I did want to do it. I did want to make them happy and to help them, but why did I want to make them happy and help them? Of course, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to my friends, but mainly because I wanted them to see that I was worth keeping. Okay? So, again, this is my personal experience, and I want you, if you're relating to anything I'm saying, to tie in yours into it, because this is a really important revelation. Ever since shifting on this awareness, that demon, and I say demon not as in with a horn and a tail, because that's what the art has depicted for us, right? But our demon is anything of a lower dense vibration that we feed so that it can grow bigger and bigger and bigger, that causes us harm. So this demon that has been following me my entire life, I finally have shown a light on it. It's been behind me and controlling so much, and I never knew it was there, and I just felt like a victim to my circumstance, and the belief always repeated to me that I am not good enough. And now I turned around and I shone this flashlight on this demon, and I see it. So anytime I see the workings of it, I can turn around. I know that it's you. I know that you're here. That's what awareness does. It's like, imagine that you move into a house and it's extremely haunted and there's terrifying things happening and you're so scared the entire time. You're like, I gotta move, I gotta get away, gotta get away, gotta get away. And then you realize, wait, what is that? And then you look up and you see that it's rigged, and the whole thing that's been going on has been controlled by the weird, neighbor or someone messing with you. And it's like, now you can't get me. I know it's you. You see what I'm saying? That's what awareness does. Whereas something may still initially scare you, or something may initially hurt you or trigger you, like in that haunted house, then you go, I know what that is, right? And then over time, as you continue to shed light on this, on that belief system that's been imprinted on you, so for me, when it was imprinted on me, and then therefore everything that happened after that just validated and added to it and added to it and added to it. Now I can go, wow, I've been going through my whole life with this thing called shame. I didn't even know what it was. I just thought that I sucked and people hated me, and I didn't know why, because I try so hard to be good. And now I know it's because of this belief that I have. And also, hold on, I need a drink because I'm really getting fired up. My face turns beet red when I channel and when I'm passionate, which is why I like to have makeup on for these, but whatever. If you're aware enough about the law of attraction, you understand that the vibration that you're vibrating at is the vibration that you attract to you. So if I'm vibrating at this belief that I need external validation, even though everything that I put out is with great intention, a person without this shame complex wouldn't need the validation. They just know, like, I am good, I am whole, I am doing this to serve. That's it at the end of the day. And if anyone has a situation or something happens in a friendship or something happens over here that is like a little off and doesn't validate that, their whole being doesn't get thrown off into this abyss where everything is fucked up, because they already know that they are whole and they can handle it in a basic, mature way that can be done in 5 minutes versus someone like us. For me, these situations used to get me for months. Depression for months and months and months, and then I brought it down to a month, then I brought it down to a couple weeks, and it's like, now it's like, wow, it's still here though, like it doesn't keep me swallowed up for so long, and now I've been able to put a name to it. I've been able to put a name to it, that it is this shame, and that shame is such a huge part of abandonment. And I always thought the abandonment was what broke me, right? When my mom left, I thought that was what broke me. Simply just not having a mother, being a young girl and not having a mother. Now, yes, throughout my life, when I saw my friends have mothers and that mother-daughter relationship and going to the mall and getting clothes and having someone to talk to, I never had that mother-like relationship. Right? I had my older sister. She was like a mom to me. No offense, Dad. He gets very sensitive, but like, you can't be mom and dad all the time. Like, it's just, there's something about a girl and her mom. And, my sister was taken from us. She was murdered. And that further, like, validated that for me. Like, you can't have anything, because even God doesn't see you as worth not having constant trauma over and over again. But yeah, I used to think that was what broke me, but really all of that just added to it. It just fueled what was already there and made it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But it was that initial contact, right? And it had a lot to do with what my mom did, but not just when she left. So, going back to that part, so don't go to high school where you were bullied or whatever, because that just adds on to something. Where did it start? You need to find the root. You need to find where it started. And as always, I really suggest on journaling. Journaling is going to just get it out of you at first, and then meditating on it, praying on it, and inner child work. Going in and finding yourself at that age and giving them what they needed, talking to them, explaining to them what you just realized, shining the light on that inner demon. It takes its power away and it quantumly heals that young you. So I had Reiki done to myself. Usually I'm the one that gives the Reiki, and all of this started coming up for me last weekend. So I'm just looking at my Post-its now to see if there's, like, because I was, like, getting it. And I was, like, literally taking notes while I was getting the Reiki done. And I just want to see if there's anything on here that I wanted to add. Oh, okay. So I wrote down shame, quote unquote, there is something wrong with me. The subconscious message from parents or other situations or whoever through abandonment. And the abandonment can be physical or it can be emotional. Trying to force authenticity over shame will taint it with the need to be validated. So that's what I'm saying, like with my offering, like I knew that I am offering from an authentic place, but the shame comes into play if someone doesn't see it as authentic. And it's like, why do I need other people to? Not even that they didn't see it as authentic, but like, oh, the technical difficulty overrides, like, but I'm trying to help you, like that need to prove, the belief systems of they have more blank than me, they are more able than me, they have more this, I'm broken, I lack. Okay, these are just different narratives that they have. Everybody has that, but I always have this. I like, just like that something is missing. But you understand, like these processes aren't always this conscious as a child, but you might notice them in you today. And something that I wrote too was, when we go through these things and we have these realizations, our energy can be a little shifted. It's like everything we thought we knew about ourselves is being thrown in the air like Tetris, I always say, and then coming back in to fit closer together. And I wrote down here in quotations, I'm going through a process, because I need to stop saying, and we need to stop saying, like, I'm going through something, I'm in a dark night of the soul, I'm in my shadow. Whereas that may be true, that excludes light from it. But like I mentioned, You're not like having dinner with that demon in the darkness. You are literally bringing light into the darkness. So to just kind of lift the vibration around that as a whole, I'm going through a process, and also understanding that conscious processes won't be understood by unconscious people. And that's basically what I was saying about as things do kind of fall away and relationships and friends do fall away or don't feel like they used to. It's because not everybody is on the same conscious path or the conscious path at all, so it won't be understood. So to understand that just because someone doesn't understand or pokes fun at or doesn't accept what you're doing to heal yourself, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve to heal, right? Because the shame would come in and say that you don't have enough worth to be worthy of healing. You don't have enough trauma to need to heal. Anything that's like, I don't have blank enough, or something is not enough, or something doesn't reach the criteria to deserve, that is shame. So it will be mirrored back to you in people not understanding your processes and poking fun. So these are all different ways that this can apply. I have a feeling I'm going to be talking about this a lot because I'm only just now starting this process. But if you resonate with this, I'd love to hear it in the comments. You can always follow me as well, Queen of Cups, on Instagram and TikTok. I love, I'm just going to say, I love the feedback. Well, gee, Kareen, why do you love the feedback? So that you can have validation that somebody, like, approves of or understands what you said. But there is a level where it isn't a normal emotional or human response, too, to enjoy feedback, to enjoy that your message is received, especially in a situation where if you're doing something like this, where there's no live person on the other end. I'm just kind of talking to a camera right now. So it is nice to know. So it's it's like checking the intention, like why do I want it, you know? So these are all different things, and you can see that as I've talked throughout this video, I've had light bulbs go off. That's what your process will be like. So I do want to hear about this from you. I do want to know if this resonated with you. I do especially want to know if this awareness, if you were able to watch this and then shed the light on yours that's been following you, because that is a beautiful thing to know that I am helping spreading that light. Literally, that is, I believe that this is a reason why I am here, and just like you have a unique important reason and light to spread as to why you are here. But in order to do so, we need to spread the light within our own situations. So okay, well, that's that. Thank you for coming this far in with me. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day or rest of your night, and I really hope that this got the ball rolling on something that could alleviate you of some heaviness in the future, because it can't scare you anymore. You know what it is. All right, bye.